Greetings, tankers. When the Americans joined World War II, they thought 75mm guns would be enough to stand up to the German tanks. But by the end of 1942, it was obvious that the penetration of these guns was not good enough. So the Armaments Committee began equipping the U.S. Army with tank destroyers that had 90mm guns. The M36 Jackson is the result of this process. It was used by the Army after April 1942. About 2,000 of these tanks were built in different configurations during World War II. Of course, we couldn't skip this vehicle when we were creating the American Tank Destroyer branch. So let's see what we have created. The number of hit points the Jackson has is similar to its brethren. 590 hit points allows you, if it's absolutely necessary, to duel with not just another tank destroyer, but another medium tank as well. The rotating turret helps in these battles, but you shouldn't have these fights too often, since you are a TD, not a heavy tank. Its side and rear armor, unfortunately, is fairly weak and can be penetrated by even HE shells. The frontal armor is pretty good for a Tier 6 TD, but there is one caveat. You could say that its frontal armor is better than its turret armor. It is 114mm compared to 76mm. However, this armor only covers the engine and transmission compartment and the base of the gun. It covers almost all of the front of its turret, and it is quite difficult to penetrate this area. If this area is penetrated, it may destroy the ammunition rack or the main gun. The Jackson has excellent viewing range for a TD. Its range is 370 meters. It can not only destroy tanks that are spotted by others, but it can spot for itself. It also has a turning turret that lets you keep your camouflage while aiming at targets, unlike most TDs. This vehicle is equipped with one of the best radios in its class. Its range is about 615 meters. This helps make up for its weak turret armor. In addition, its maneuverability is worse than its brother, the M18 Hellcat. However, its speed is high enough to get to a good position at the beginning of the battle, or for a quick rush to defend your base or artillery. However, you can't drive from one flank to another, or from the center of a battle to the rear quickly. The Jackson has a high silhouette. That's one reason why you shouldn't drive through the middle of the battle. However, a high turret also lets you shoot enemies standing behind rocks or other cover. Unfortunately, its vertical elevation doesn't let you shoot enemies hiding behind hills. The top-tier gun of the Jackson does moderate damage and penetration compared to its colleagues at the same tier. 160 millimeters of penetration is a pretty nice amount for a Tier 6 vehicle, and 240 damage can seriously hurt any tank it may face. The accuracy of this gun is good enough to comfortably shoot 300 to 350 meters away, and its high accuracy and high rate of fire lets it easily shift its fire from one flank to another. The best position from which the Jackson performs really well is in the second or third line from a camouflage or fortified position, where it can fire without worrying about its safety. And now that you know the pros and cons of the Jackson, let's see what modules will suit it. You have a good view range, high accuracy, and fast rate of fire, but your armor is weak and maneuverability is average. That's why the best tactic for you is to get to a good position and shoot everybody that wants to push you out of it. The ideal option for this tactic is to use the following modules. The medium caliber gun rammer lets you shoot more often. The binocular telescope gives you the opportunity to spot an enemy and shoot earlier. A camouflage net makes it harder to spot you. As a result, enemies will shoot later. So what other modules might be useful and why haven't we recommended them? The enhanced gun lane drive reduces your aim time, but the Jackson has no problem with that. The coated optics provide fewer bonuses to view range than the telescope, and moving is dangerous anyway. The next step to making your Jackson stronger is choosing perks. Before enhancing the view range, you should learn recon for the commander and situational awareness as well as signal boosting for your radio operator. You want to be spotted as late as possible, so the crew should train camouflage. And if you want to be alerted the moment you are spotted, you should learn Sixth Sense. If you want to increase your damage, your gunner should learn Deadeye. In addition, Snapshot for your gunner and clutch braking for your driver may also be useful. You may also train off-road driving if you want to get to fighting positions faster. The most useful skill for your loader is adrenaline rush. Safe stowage may also come in handy. What can we advise for the Jackson's driver? You should know all the maps to use the pros of this vehicle. At the beginning of a battle, you should choose a camouflage position that will let you cover one, or better yet, two possible routes of enemy attack. The classic example is an alley in Prohorovka. If you sit behind the bushes at the inner part of the road, you can shoot advancing enemies, fire on enemy tanks that are scouting the field, and protect your base from enemies that are coming down the railroad. You should be patient when you are shooting. You can aim at enemy weak spots, for instance, into the radio operator's hatch of the KV-5 or under the KV-2 turret. If you want to choose another target to shoot at, you better not turn your tank. Of course, it is faster, but if you do it, you lose your camouflage and you will need some extra time to aim. You should try not to fight head-to-head if possible. First, your front armor is much weaker. Second, artillery really loves TDs that are sitting still. You should be aware of enemy light and medium tanks. Remember, the only armor you have is on your front. You should compare the enemy to yourself. You better not try to penetrate the IS-3's frontal armor, but you can penetrate into the side armor or make it a target for SPGs by destroying its tracks. And finally, you should watch the situation on the minimap. Your maneuverability lets you run away from the dangers to your position, or you can move to another position to help your allies. For example, you can park on the hill on El Halouf. When the center of battle has moved into enemy territory and enemies are taking cover behind rocks, you can easily flank them and destroy them. The Jackson is an amazing vehicle that doesn't require amazing skills, so players can make mistakes in-game. It is easy and fairly pleasant to play with this tank. It is one of the best tanks for beginners. And that is all. We really hope that we've been able to help you. We're looking forward to reading your opinion about this guide. See you next time.